This September starts my seven years. So
7 years. Kim?
25.
25. Andrea?
25. And yes, I am 25.
So
I don't know how that works.
You were in the crib when you started.
I have 12 years buying and selling experience and 16 with property management.
Wow. Yeah,
Well, that's actually an excellent question because credit score drives everything on the mortgage process. It drives your interest rate, and the higher your credit score is, the lower the interest rate. And if you have a lower credit score, it can make the interest rate higher and the cost higher. So credit is very important. The one thing I really want to say about credit is if you're looking at a consumer view, and you're looking at Credit Karma or mycreditreport.com or Experian and you signed up for that, that is simply a consumer's view to tell you where your score is moving based on your credit activity. And if you're buying something, it may temporarily drop, but it does not equate to a mortgage credit report. So it's very important to check with me to be able to see where you are on the credit. When we do look at that, it is free. So it's a free review of that, and we have credit scores that we can do down to 620 for government programs, but again, the higher the better. Well, financing options, that's a general term, and so until I look at your individual scenario, Monica, I wouldn't know exactly what you would qualify for. But as far as our company is concerned, we offer a slew of products. So when I look at financing options, I'm looking at how much money do you have to put down. If you have no money, is 100% USDA an option? Are you an eligible veteran that's active duty or veteran that would qualify for 100% VA? It's my favorite loan ever because they get all the bells and whistles with no PMI, 100% financing, lots of great things with VA. And then we have 3% down conventional programs, and we look at all of those.
Some states are state attorneys required. So West Virginia is an example, North Carolina, South Carolina, other states up north and around the country. But here locally, Maryland and Virginia, you can be a title company. And so the services that a title company offers mirrors the same as an attorney does. All fees vary based on your profession and years of experience and just basically what you have to deal with out of pocket with your employees. So no, you do not need an attorney in Virginia or Maryland. And in West Virginia, we can offer closings there as well because we do have an attorney.
Would you use the same attorney as your ex-spouse in a divorce?
And that's a big fat no.
I'm going to go ahead and say no. And the reason for this is because it is your real estate agent's job to represent you. And why would you call the person who is already legally bound with the paperwork that they have and morally and ethically and all those good things bound to represent the seller? Why would you want them representing you, especially if you don't have to pay a real estate agent to be in your team? Why wouldn't you have somebody in your corner for the largest purchase you're probably ever going to make?
And I walk on any roof that I can get on that I'm not worried I'm going to fall off of. So
or fall through.
Correct. Yes. So I actually, a lot of folks are kind of getting out of walking on roofs. There's drones. There's other ways to view a roof. The best way to actually see what's going on with the roof is to get on that roof. Now, I'm not saying I can get on. There's some roofs I just simply can't reach, or they're so steep that you can almost see everything just from looking at it from the ground, and if you were to try to get on it, you would just slide back down. Any roof I can safely get onto, I do. Crawl space is kind of a similar situation. As long as it's, this high, I can sneak through it, and I will. I pride myself on getting into some pretty tiny crawl spaces over the years. There are certain standards for new construction that minimum access requirements, but in this particular area, we have lots of older homes which don't fit that bill. So I do go into the crawl space. I get onto as many roofs as I can. If I cannot get on the roof, I have other means. I have a 30-foot extension pole that I have 3D camera and a GoPro that I can look down on the roof. For anyone that doesn't know what radon is, it's just naturally occurring gas that's coming out of the ground. there's actually trace amounts of radon just out in the air naturally when you go outside. So there's 0.4 picocuries per liter. Radon's measured in picocuries per liter. Is it dangerous? It is the second leading cause of lung cancer after smoking, and it's actually the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. And is radon gas dangerous itself? Technically, it's the breakdown of the radon gas that's dangerous. So over time, as radon is breaking down, once it's in your home, it creates basically microscopic lead particulates that get into the air. And then as you breathe in those lead particulates over time, they can attach to the lungs, develop a tumor, things like that. So it's all about kind of your length of exposure and your amount of exposure to radon. Do you need an inspection for radon? It's not really an inspection. It is a test that we do, and for a real estate transaction, it's a 48-hour test. And the only thing with that is it's the only way to determine what levels of radon you have.
Well, I'll tell you some. I'm not going to tell you all because
That's proprietary information.
well, so especially in this market, which I'm sure it's common knowledge, it's a little nutty out there, and homes are getting sold in hours, even very quickly with multiple offers. So one of the things that I like to do is if my buyer's interested in a home, I will pick up the phone and call the listing agent, who is the realtor who represents the seller. And I'll see if there's anything they could share that maybe is important to a seller, because sometimes a seller needs to have a specific date that they close on because they're buying their next house. Maybe they need flexibility with staying in the home a little bit longer after the sale. Every situation's a little bit different, but if we could align our offer so that it helps meet some of those needs of the seller, that will make it look more appealing to them too.
Lender's policy benefits the bank. So if you foreclose on the property or do anything like that, that policy is to only protect them. As a buyer, the owner's policy is to protect you. So there could be forgery, there could be any type of fraud, there could be instances. I have one now where the deed of the property is not a legitimate LLC, not of any wrongdoing of the seller's part, but that's what they wanted to name, kind of like their plantation, right? So they bought this beautiful land, and it's like, this is what I want to call it, and that's how they titled it. But they didn't realize that they would have to then go and actually make that entity real. So again, if he purchased title and insurance when he purchased the property, then you can file a claim that way. So there's so many things that people don't think about that could actually happen. The HOA, if the builder comes in and it's like, okay, well, here's this lot, and you think that you have 200 square feet of this grass, and you really don't, the HOA can come and put fines and liens against your property and take your property for HOA stuff that you didn't even know. So the standard policy covers a very, very good portion of what could happen. There isn't any.
I do offer a la carte type inspections, or just like the major systems inspections. I would say, one thing with that is, it might be more economical if you're saying, well, let's just look at the roof and the foundation and the HVAC. Well, that's a big chunk of what, we look at in a home inspection. It might be more beneficial just to do a full-blown inspection. But maybe you're on a time crunch or something like that. You need to have it done, within a day or so. We could certainly schedule something like that where I come out and we walk around the property and point some things out to you. Maybe you want a report, maybe you don't. But yeah, certainly.
I would. You should feel comfortable with who you're working with. Not everybody's going to, it's personalities. Sometimes somebody's personality won't make you feel good and comfortable, and you should. You should also make sure that the realtor has the experience that you want. Maybe you want to buy a house in West Virginia. You want to make sure your agent is licensed in West Virginia or Virginia or wherever you end up looking, and that they have experience in those states too. So those are definitely things to kind of consider.
And 30 days-ish. I mean, some lenders are doing 45, 60. You guys could probably tell me more how long they're backed up. It's been a very robust year. We have a very streamlined system, so our in-house underwriters are able to come in and underwrite. We're getting our turn times in 2 days on a full approval, which is phenomenal, while we're waiting on appraisals. So, and in some cases, we're even getting appraisal waivers, which are saying that the strength of the loan and the value is something that's saying, hey, we don't need an appraisal. Now, they can certainly choose to do an appraisal anyway, but they are given that as an option. I have many people that do that. So it takes us about 30 days. So we went from the pre-qual to now we're doing the loan application where I gather W-2s, pay stubs, tax returns, your IDs, all the separation agreement, divorce decrees, bankruptcy papers. It could be anything that we need to substantiate the file. It goes to the underwriter. They render a decision, and almost always it's approval because we do our homework up front, and then we get it approved. We work really hard to get it cleared, and the most beautiful words in the whole wide world is
Let's
what
all say it together.
Clear
to
close.
close.
That's it. And when that happens, the celebration happens.